Feeling pretty good after the mead, I gotta be honest. Whew. Mead fucks you up, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh my gosh.
We here at Bobchat like to think we help shape our nation's youth. But unless you want your children to grow up like us, we suggest only listening with other inebriated adults.
It's fucking Mead Chat, baby. You know what it is.
You know what it is. It's Mead Chat, baby. Mead. Vikings. For many, it's impossible to think of one without the other. Go ahead, close your eyes, clear your mind, and try. As a matter of fact, before proceeding any further, put this book down. Quick interjection, we are running through a book called Making Mead Like a Viking. Find a quiet spot and take a moment to sit quietly with your eyes closed and forget everything you know. Forget what you've been told about brewing alcoholic beverages, that it requires all sorts of fancy equipment and laboratory produced yeast and chemicals. You don't need that. And that's a complicated, time-consuming process. Drop all your notions about the current state of food and drink production in a society that has become increasingly obsessed with uniformity and overemphasis on sanitization. Take note, though, that I am not talking about not being clean and producing your own food and drink, while the over-sterilization prevalent in commercial production is ultimately necessary due to the strong potential for contamination. Anyways, that's a little bit of an intro there. I'm here with my friend, the man with the plan, the honey in the plan, Spencer the Buzzin' Bee. I'm your host, Bino Barbarino. It's another episode of Bob Chat. We are coming to you hot off the heels of our first Mead Chat video series, where Spencer brought me into the wonderful world of making mead. And we hope you guys have had a chance to see the videos. If you haven't and you're listening to this, please go back, check them out. We made some killer mead with tangerines. One of the best. Clementines. That was a test. You passed the test. It's not goddamn tangerines, they're clementines. That was a test.
We've been making a joke about that all night. Inside joke, you wouldn't get it.
But yeah, we are here. Spence, how you doing? How's it going tonight?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah, so we're hot off the heels of our first batch of mead, and I think it went really great. So what we want to do for you guys on this episode of Bob Chat is Spencer has this handy book, which he actually let me borrow for a couple of weeks prior to us making the mead, and actually during the process of that first brew we made. And it's basically got it's like how to make mead like a Viking, and it's kind of gives you a little bit of history on mead itself. So for the people at home that don't know quite really what mead is, how would you describe mead in your own words first, Spence?
It's the original alcohol.
The original alcohol. All right, so we're going to jump into this book a little bit for you guys, and Spence is going to kick us off with how mead came to be.
So, after a long war in which neither side gained any real traction, the two tribes of gods decided to reconcile. They chewed up some berries, spat into a cauldron. The communal mixing of saliva is an ancient reconciliation tradition.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Here, guys,
nasty.
you know what? We're not at war anymore. Let's just both spit in this jar. We're cool now, guys.
Just chew some berries and spit.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I need you to do for me.
Whatever you need, buddy.
And let the berries ferment. But rather than the intended fermented beverage, what rose from the cauldron was Cavasir, the wisest of all beings.
Oh.
It's unclear whether Cavasir... I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Let's see.
Kavas.
Okay, so it's spelled Kvasir. It's an old...
Cavasir?
Cavasier. No.
Cavasir.
It's not. Okay, so basically an old Viking god that's the most powerful came from
spit.
From spit. Okay, cool.
Was a man,
That sounds like a great foundation for their religion.
a
Keep
god, or another being altogether. But the poem he spoke and all the stories he told made even the hardest-hearted of gods and men weep. His words were like pure gold, and caused his listeners to transcend into previously unknown realms of the mind.
Oh shit. Okay.
Ooh.
I could get behind Cavasir.
He could wisely answer any question put to him. The dwarfs, being dwarfs, saw... I really wish I knew if I was saying this right.
Cavasir.
Cavasir.
We'll just call him the K-Man.
The K-Man.
We're just gonna, from this point forward, if you hear us reference the K-Man, it is the Viking god that was born of the chewed up berries and spit. We're really going back here, guys. Like, we're really gonna dive deep into this.
K-Man, as a great treasure,
The K-Man. Yeah.
coveted him for themselves. Two particularly malicious dwarves, Galar and Fialar, kidnapped Big K-Man. Once they had him in their deep caverns, they murdered him. Whoa!
Plot
What
twist.
the fuck?
So okay, how is this gonna cause Mead to be made? They made Mead out of his blood, I bet. Keep going.
Suffocated from an excess of wisdom. Ooh.
Okay.
Now that the dwarves possess the great wisdom of K-Man,
The K-Man.
they sought to preserve it, not because they wanted to gain and share wisdom, but because they wanted to hoard it for themselves.
Ah, those greedy dwarves, they delve too greedily and deep. They should
No-
have known better.
Here it comes. Knowing that when they mixed the proper amount of liquid honey would transform into the magical ecstasy-inducing substance, the dwarves added honey to the cauldrons containing K-Man's blood. Oh,
I called it.
You called it.
I have never read this.
Thus was born ancient mystical mead,
What?
which could turn anyone who drank it into a poet full of charm. Oh,
Oh, damn.
and with a magnificent
I just
singing voice.
saw you were a sweet talker. You've been full of mead this whole time.
And with magnificent singing voice. A few too many drinks. Of course, the dwarves had no intention of sharing it, nor did they taste it.
Those bastards.
The three vessels were named
Don't even try. It's okay.
Oh Man,
Oh man. Okay, we're
Sun,
gonna.
and Bowden,
Bowden. What was the first one? Try to say it.
or Throrir.
Oh man. The oh man.
Yeah, that's the O Man. Or Mead of Poetry.
So basically, the mythological origin of Mead is that these Viking warriors were fighting with each other. They established some form of peace, and the ritual of peace at that time was that they would chew up berries and spit them into a cauldron, and somehow out of that
K-Man was born.
spawn of K-Man was born, and then these greedy dwarves who delved too greedily and too deep.
They fucking killed K-Man.
They
Like,
killed
what the fuck?
They killed him, and they made the first ever mead out of honey water in his blood.
It's fucking dark.
It is dark, but I mean that's the mythological origins, right? So now, do we have? Okay, where do we stand on the actual? Oh, it's got a little bit on how Odin stole. Apparently, Odin stole the mead. Let me see this. Let's get into that for a second. So, I think everyone here knows who Odin is. If you don't, he is basically like the Norse. He's basically the Zeus of Norse mythology, right? He is. Go ahead. It's okay. He is that wasn't a beer, so that's why I didn't want him to do it in the mic. It was an ST, but it's okay.
Still delicious.
He drank a lot of meat and beer, so he's fine. Oh, this actually has a reference to Tolkien as well. Okay, so this part of the book is called How Odin Stole the Magic Mead. So basically, we know that there's a magical mead that was created by the dwarves. So Odin, a complex god and the eldest and wisest of the Aesir, was part trickster, part shaman, part warrior, and part poet. Due to his skills in animism, he could take many forms. At times, he would travel Midgard disguised as Vegtam the Wanderer, a direct influence for Tolkien's Gandalf. That's in brackets, that's exciting. An old man with a dark blue cloak, long white beard, a staff, and a wide-brimmed hat. Vegtam was often accompanied by two ravens. Okay. And they traveled between Midgard and Asgard as his messengers and spies. When his ravens brought him word of the misdeeds of the dwarves and how Suttung had thwarted them, Odin immediately began plotting with the other Aesir to acquire the magic mead and bring it back to Asgard. Okay, so that's cool. So there's a slew of ancient mythological history surrounding making mead.
And it all begins with blood.
It all begins with blood. All right, so we're not going to bring you necessarily up to present day, but okay, so now we're going to get into the actual practical making of mead, and we're going to take a look at making mead in the Viking Age.
Alrighty, so this is chapter 2 in the book of How to Make Mead Like a Viking.
Chapter 2.
Mead in the Viking Age. In order to understand how the Vikings made mead and other fermented beverages, it is necessary that we look at the brewing traditions of the early Northern European cultures. An ideal point of reference is the Anglo-Saxon era. Approximately 410 to 1066, that'd be probably AD.
Yes, definitely, yeah. So we're looking at, we're talking over 1,000 years ago.
No, that'd be nearly 3,000.
AD, oh, so, yeah. So, okay, so, yeah, way before. No, AD is after death. So, BC.
Oh, BC.
400 BC.
400 to 1000 BC.
I think we're looking at AD. Because I believe the Vikings were after Christ.
Oh yeah, no, then you're right.
So we're looking at over 1,000 years ago, guys. The Hey, it's okay. I've been drinking mead too. I feel so warm on the inside. You guys gotta try this. Honestly, if you check out, Spencer's gonna be making some crazy content and really pumping out the making mead game. You guys gotta check this shit out. It will change your fucking lives. It's changed my life. I love it. Sorry, keep going. I'm so excited.
So approximately 410 to 1066 AD.
AD.
The reason for this is threefold. Vikings left little verifiable evidence in regard to their actual brewing techniques. The word Viking is really little more than a loosely defined term given to the multinational group of explorers, plunderers, and settlers who traveled the breadth of Northern Europe, briefly settled Northern America,
yes,
and journeyed to Normandy and Spain in Southern Europe.
They were all over the place. We can't just pillage our own country.
3. As a direct result of the second point, they increased their numbers primarily during the Anglo-Saxon era, from an initial group of hardy Scandinavians to additions, willing and unwilling, culled from the hodgepodge of nationalities including the Celts, Russians, and various Germanic tribes.
Okay.
Namely, Angles, English, Saxons, and Jutes.
Jutes. Okay. So a lot of different kinds of people were Vikings.
Based on the many references of mead we find in Norse mythology, the people who we refer today as the Vikings had established techniques for fermenting alcohol that were passed down through generations, long before they ventured in droves of foreign lands. Vikings were curious by nature and would have integrated ingredients and procedural knowledge picked up from travels into their brews.
That's so cool.
Although there are tantalizing references of them making mead in the Icelandic sagas and other texts, and archaeologists are learning more about the actual ingredients they used.
That's crazy. That makes me want to be an archaeologist. You're like, fuck dinosaur bones.
Let's find old meads.
Yeah. Let's figure out how they made alcohol back in the day. Yes.
We can't say for sure exactly how the Norse brewed their alcoholic beverages. Fermentation is such a simple process, one that has been practiced for little alteration for millennia.
That's crazy.
That it's not much of a stretch to take what we know about traditional fermentation practices today, combined with the knowledge of ingredients common in the ancient brews, and say confidently that we can indeed make mead like a Viking.
Fuck yeah, I feel like we did. I feel like we did make mead like a Viking. Ooh, okay, so this is cool. There's actually a picture in this book, and it is the grave of Celtic Prince of Hochdorf, Germany. It contained apparently a massive 500-liter cauldron filled nearly to the brim with mead. Wow. So, you hear about, you look at the Terracotta Army, right? That was an emperor of China, and he was like, I want my army in the afterlife. This fucking German prince was like, I want to get drunk in the afterlife. Give me the mead, bro. That's crazy. So, okay, now here we go. This is the ancient brewing ingredients. So the list of herbs and other botanicals used traditionally for brewing strong drink in ancient times is long and varied. Because, you got to think about it too, right? Spence, there's probably some, species of plants or ingredients that probably either don't exist anymore or people wouldn't even think about putting into an alcoholic beverage, right?
Well, I think we still have access to a lot of the ingredients, but they probably wouldn't be exactly to a T of what they were using back then.
Okay. Many had known medicinal qualities and were used both for that reason or for their I can't even talk. We shouldn't have drank the mead before we did this. These herbs are still readily available. Okay, so these herbs are still readily available today, either by purchasing, growing in a herb garden, or harvesting in the wild. Okay, that's cool. Now, this gentleman who wrote this book says, "Take note, I am not a herbalist, and have no medical credentials. My understanding of herbs appropriate for brewing, medicine, and culinary use is based on extensive research." So, but I mean, I think that's a lot of it, though, right? Like when you first got into making mead, like you had to put that time in, right? You had to learn what you were doing. You had to figure it out. It wasn't like, okay, I'm just gonna do it, right?
No, it was like a 1 to 2 months straight learning process of reading this book for a month, supplemented with like YouTube videos of the current mead makers on YouTube.
Yes. Now people are gonna be like, yeah, I watched Spencer the Buzzing Bees video. That's how I know how to make mead.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it says here, it is possible that alcohol wasn't the core catalyst for inebriation in all Viking era booze, at least not for the brews set aside for ceremonial and sacred use. As noted by Ralph Metzner in The Well of Remembrance, Rediscovering the Earth Wisdom Myths of Northern Europe, that sounds like a good read. In beer and mead, the additives were of much greater importance than the ferment, honey, grains, bread, malt, etc. The pagan mead of inspiration was no simple beer and mead, but must have been a psychoactive beverage whose inebriating ingredients had a stimulating effect upon creativity. Sign me up. That sounds awesome. Can we make that?
Let's see what ingredients they are using.
I don't know. It doesn't say. But apparently it's saying a bunch of things about archaeologists and whatnot. So, I mean, oh, okay, here we go. There is a couple of things. So this one is called bog myrtle. So bog myrtle was used extensively in brewing throughout Europe and was a common bartering item. So Google that, guys, because if you want to know what that looks like, bog myrtle. It was often brewed along with juniper and sometimes with hops. It was known to be highly intoxicating and could produce a hell of a hangover. It literally says that in the book.
Oh my god.
It provided an exceptionally strong flavor and was described as having a heady effect and as injurious to the health. Okay. In a survey of Norwegian brewing traditions, bog myrtle, though, possesses a wealth of healing qualities, including exorbitant, sedative, fungiacidic, and antiseptic properties. It relaxes branchial tissue, alternative to an effective stomachic, and can be used as a powder for skin sores and ulceration. So basically, it sounds like it's something that should be put on topically and not ingested. But hey, if it gets you fucked up, it gets you fucked up. Am I right? Another ingredient, which is next there, that they would put in the ancient mead is
something called St. John's wort.
Oh shit! Okay.
And
St. John's ambulance. I don't know. Sorry.
In a survey of Norwegian farmers conducted by Old Nordland in brewing and beer traditions in Norway, one farmer noted that pirkum was used for spirits but not for ale. Nordland goes on to note that pirkum is used to flavor spirits in many places all over the country, and also quoted a farmer who stated that it happened that someone added a little hypericum, especially if they wanted really intoxicating ale.
Yes!
So it does appear that it was used for flavoring ale, as verified by a quote from another farmer. In summer we picked Pericum Blamar, Hypericum, and Hardhouse.
There's a lot of crazy names.
Yarrow, and then put them in layers with the malt in the filter vat. Now then, adding juniper twig, until all the malt was in the vat. As the final bit of evidence, Northern notes that the various words for St. John's wort indicated that the herb is characterized as having a connection with ale, or as a plant to be used like hops.
Okay, so they've discovered all these other different plants that are going to allow you.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Oh, there's a lot. Wow. So
they even put tobacco in it.
What does it say about tobacco?
I haven't tried, nor did I recommend it, but I've seen tobacco referenced as an ingredient in mead and ale often enough in my readings that I have found it worth noting.
Wow, that's crazy.
Some indigenous South American tribes use tobacco and honey in their sacred rituals. A type of mead is predominant beverage in the southern regions of South America.
I didn't know that. So yeah, mead. So now, what were you saying earlier? You were saying that mead is basically found all over the world in like all kinds of cultures, right?
Every culture has it, and some national beverages that are known by the countries, like national beverage, is mead, or like they'll give it a different name, like Tej.
Yeah, but that's wild. Where do they call it Tej?
Well, we'll find out later in the book.
Oh
actually.
shit! Yeah, we will. That's crazy. So there's. Sorry, continue with what it says about tobacco.
Sure. And the curious tobacco honey beverage is common in northern South America, where what would be called tobacco honey is made. That is where tobacco is soaked and boiled, and then, what is that word?
Imbibed?
Imbibed in a liquid or syrup form.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. I don't know. Basically, I mean, and it let's talk about that for a second. Like, think about like 1,000 years ago, right? Like, you're basically like, they have a general understanding of how to produce an alcoholic beverage, but I mean, like, it's trial and error, right? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, think about like magic mushrooms. How many people died like eating? They're like, well, that mushroom, that made me not hungry anymore. That one killed Terry, and that one made Joe high as fuck. So trial and error.
Gotta experiment the right way.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God we. If we can make some of that psychoactive mead, that'd be cool. Watch out for the next video, guys. We're making a psychoactive mead. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So here we go. So this is. So now we've kind of moved past the. We're gonna take you back to the magical 18th century here. So this is the decline and resurgence of mead. So obviously mead has been around for thousands of years. It's been made for a long time. As alcohol brewing became commercialized in the 18th and 19th centuries, brewing in general decreased greatly as a standard household function, and mead began a slow slide into obscurity. Now it's back with a vengeance, baby. Being relegated mostly to nostalgic references and stories about olden times, this isn't to say that it wasn't still brewed in smaller quantities, particularly by beekeepers, obviously, because they've already got the honey, and rural brewers in the British Isles. In America, though, prohibition, bullshit, that's the dumbest thing ever, and the subsequent rise of large-scale swill beer, this isn't swill beer, it's mead. Okay, it's delicious. Brewing had a devastating effect on mead's popularity. The homebrew and craft beer movements of the late 20th century have helped to bring it back, though. Look at us, we're making it, right? Many wineries are beginning to produce meads, and meaderies are popping up all over the country. Mead is back, and with the unrelenting vengeance of a Viking berserker. Yes, it is. We did it, man. You and me, we made mead,
and it's fucking sweet.
Sweet like honey. That's cool. Oh, so here you go. And obviously, if you are just tuning in, or if you have no idea what we're talking about mead. And one of the main things that you need to make mead is what, Spencer?
Fucking honey.
Fucking honey. That's right, you need some fucking honey. So let's see if we can find something here about honey and bees. So why do you need honey, Spencer, for mead?
Honey and the bees we have to thank for it. Without honey, we wouldn't have mead. And without bees, we wouldn't have honey.
Preach.
Honey has inexorably linked with mankind's survival in much the same way that fermentation has, and for about as long. It is therefore understandable that it holds just a strong place in mythology and sacred rituals. Despite our advances in understanding bee behavior, the way of the bee is in many respects still mysterious and fascinating to humans, as it was to when they were considered mystical beings and agents of the gods.
What? I didn't know that. Bees were considered agents of the gods?
The more we learn about them, the more we realize these industrious little creatures continue to defy our understanding.
Awesome. And help us make delicious mead. That's so cool. Bees are awesome. Save the bees.
Save the bees, please.
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 You gotta save the bees. I'm feeling pretty good after the mead, I gotta be honest. Whew. mead fucks you up, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh my gosh.
You want to jump into the honey varietals?
Yes. So now, if you guys have listened to our previous podcast that Spencer was on, as well as watched our videos, you will know that Spencer is not only a master mead maker, and I know he's very modest. He doesn't want to admit to that, but he is. But he's also a connoisseur of many fine honeys. So now there's a whole bunch listed there. Is there any ones that are popping out at you that you have had and that are a favorite of yourself?
Well, the first one that pops up that I'm an absolute favorite of is blueberry.
Oh, so tell us all about blueberry honey.
True to its name, blueberry honey has a blueberry flavor, but not because blueberry flavoring is added. The honey gets its flavor from the nectar of the flowers of the blueberry bush. It is light amber to amber in color and has a rich, well-balanced flavor. Use in any type of mead for which you want honey to be the primary flavoring agent.
Okay, so that sounds good. Okay, what else? What else is popping out?
So I've also had clover.
Ooh, clover honey.
The workhorse of honey, clover honey is one of the most commonly found honeys.
Okay.
Although it can be found made from single varieties of clover, it is generally a blend of several. It is high in moisture content and therefore ferments fairly quickly. It can be used for practically any style of mead. Ooh, sounds pretty good.
Ooh, we should get our hands on some of that.
We've also tried buckwheat together.
Yes, we did try the buckwheat. What does it say about buckwheat honey?
Buckwheat is an early spring honey, is dark and thick, and possesses a robust malty flavor akin to molasses.
I love that there's such a variety, right? I mean, like, it's like when you're making your own kind of alcoholic beverages, like the possibilities are endless. Mm-hmm. Right?
Be sure to taste it before making mead from it. Its strong flavor can be off-putting in mead, but can be quite nice if balanced properly.
Okay. I can fuck with that. There's one that kind of popped up to me. Can I read the orange blossom one? Seeing as how we're coming off making our clementine mead, I think it would be beneficial for everyone to hear a little bit about. Oh my God! There's apparently an avocado mead. So basically, avocado honey. So basically, any plant that has a flower, the bees can produce honey from. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it always comes off in different seasons too.
That's so wild. So the orange blossom honey, although it can come solely from orange trees, orange blossom honey more often includes pollen from other citrus sources, including grapefruit, lime, and lemon trees, produced in areas where citrus grows well, primarily Florida, Texas, Arizona, and California. Orange blossom is light amber in color with a unique flavor and is therefore best suited for light traditional or floral meads. Hey, so we made a light traditional mead.
Oh yeah.
Nailed it, killed it. Cool. Like, I wish you guys, it's so good. As soon as it hits your lips, it's so good. I wish you guys could try the mead that we made. It's so good. So yeah, so obviously there are many varieties of honey. We know that honey is the main ingredient in mead along with water. But there's also a number of other ingredients. Is that right, Spencer, that go into mead as well?
Yeah, there's a few, and we'll be listing them off and talking about them in detail out of what is described in the book.
Yes, perfect.
The single most important factor in starting out a new batch of mead is the quality of ingredients you use. Use fresh ingredients.
Like anything, right?
Oh yeah.
You want to make something good, use the right stuff.
Use fresh ingredients procured from natural sources, preferably those you have grown or wild harvested yourself.
Now, just so people are aware, you actually source your honey locally, is that correct?
Oh yeah. I prefer to use unpasteurized honey because it means it hasn't been cured of all the healthy sugars that are in it, and it's not boiled to get all the pathogens and bacterias and what might be nasty in the honey out. Unpasteurized honey is always better to ferment with.
Oh, perfect. So, yeah, so just a good tip for you guys. If you do plan on embarking upon your own mead-making adventure, try to get yourself some unpasteurized honey.
Oh, yeah. Always.
Always. You heard it from the man himself. The man with the honey and the plan.
So, first ingredient you're going to want to source is some water.
Yes.
It may seem like the simplest ingredient in mead, but the type of water you use, the amount you use, the periods of the brewing process during which you add it, and how much you heat it, if at all, will play a significant role in your final product. To put it simply, if it tastes good to drink, it's good for the mead.
Yeah, so don't go to Flint, don't try to make mead if you're in Flint, Michigan. Sorry, guys. Oh, whatever. Too soon? How about they just fix their fucking water, then we won't joke about it.
So,
Fix it.
next ingredient listed. Honey.
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 You called it. What's the next one? I don't know. Honey.
Honey is without a doubt the core foundation of mead.
Yes.
Books have been written about it, and you can find more info in the first 3 chapters on its history and mythology and its use in mead. So I'll brief it here. As a general rule, I like to start with a honey-water ratio of 1 to 4. For 1 gallon of mead, I used 1 quart of honey to 4 quarts of water.
So now when we made our batch, we ended up having 4 essentially wine bottles of mead out of our batch that we made. How much water and honey did we use?
We used about close to 4 liters of water, and then we had about 2 pounds of honey.
Yes. Okay. I was trying to remember. I thought it was 2 pounds. I couldn't remember for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
So for 4 liters of mead, use 1 liter of honey to 4 liters of water. So that's the basic honey to mead ratio you're going to want to try out.
Okay.
There's other ratios you can try out, like a 1 to 5 or a 1 to 8 ratio if you want to go a little bit more lean on the honey.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, but just from the videos and us making the mead together, the more honey you use, is that going to just only affect the sweetness? That's not going to affect but there's more sugar, right? So that's going to affect the alcohol volume as well.
Right, that'll increase the ABV from anywhere from 18 to 20 or more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if you want to make stronger mead, add more honey.
Add 3 to 4 pounds, yeah.
Wow, let's do that next time. What's the highest percentage of mead you've ever made?
Well, it wasn't the one I've made that was the highest percentage was about 22.5%, and it was a lemon melomel, which just means lemon fruit mead. And then Sarah made what is called an acerglyn, which just means mead mixed with maple syrup.
Okay, and so for people who don't know who Sarah is, that's Spencer's wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So actually, Sarah was kind enough to actually let us have a sample of the maple mead actually tonight, and it was good. I mean, it
tasted so different.
It tasted different than it smelled, right? Now you guys have tried that previously, right?
Yeah, and it used to taste like rum, but now it tastes like something like barrel aged, and it's just like this nice woody sweetness.
It was good. It was really good, and I think that's probably why I'm feeling so good right now.
So another ingredient you might want to add is, we haven't messed around with it too much, is tannins, nutrients, and acids.
Okay, so this is something that you have never personally done with your meat?
I've messed around with tannins and nutrients, so and the acids as well. These
give us a rundown on what those are.
So the tannins are just going to add some more what they consider mouthfeel to a wine.
Yes, I love that mouthfeel.
Nutrients are more used to get a certain effect from the mead to do something for you, either aggressively or slow down the production of CO2 and alcohol.
Okay.
The nutrients that you also use can also be used to make your mead clear sooner, or knock the yeast and flocculate the yeast out of the suspension of the liquid and settle at the bottom.
Now, let me ask you this, because our mead that we made, you had said that was one of the clear ones that you had seen.
Yeah, it was about a 8 out of 10 clarity, but my favorite mead to look at in terms of clarity is anything with pineapple in it.
Yeah.
Pineapple meads will produce it'll almost nearly look like it's shining in the sun.
That's crazy. I love pineapple. I would love to make a pineapple mead next.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Do you want to do that next? I'll buy the pineapple.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'll get us the water and the pineapple.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, sure, Bob. Make me buy the honey the most expensive part.
Oh, we've got honey on deck. Don't worry.
Honey on deck. I told you, he's the man with the honey in the plant.
So, and then I haven't messed around with the acids and the pH balance too much, but they're important things to consider. So the acids are just to balance out if the mixture is too neutral.
Okay.
So you add an acid to bring the pH to a more neutral base. I don't know what that number would be, but it is in this book.
But it's a science, though, right? I mean, like, it's like anything. It's like, and you know what's crazy to me, though, is that, like, in this day and age, we have the ability to, like, measure the alcohol volume. We have the ability, like, with the hydrometer, and we have the ability to, you know, change the percentages and tweak it to our liking. But imagine, like, back, like, 1,000 years ago, these fucking Vikings, they didn't know what they were making. They were like, hey, let's just put this in there, see what happens. You know? I mean, it's obviously a tried and true method over, you know, over centuries and centuries of practice, but it's really like, you know, imagine just not really knowing what you're doing and just trying to make, like, hey, you know what, we want to get fucked up. Let's just make something crazy.
So we've got some yeasts here.
Okay.
I'll point to the ones I've used personally.
Now, do we
You can
have,
read
is
those
the one
off.
that we used in our batch of mead, was it listed?
Yeah, it's actually the very first one in the book.
Okay, so the yeast that we went ahead and used for ours was Lalvin EC 1118-K1V1116. Wow. So I'm assuming there's a lot of different kinds of yeast.
Oh yeah, there's like tons,
That's
thousands
crazy.
upon thousands.
So the description of the yeast that we went ahead and used in our mead was good all-around yeast with similar qualities, ideal for dry meads, sparkling meads, late harvest mellamols, and restarting stuck fermentations. Mead made with this should be given time to fully age. We drank it pretty quick. Now, what did you call it off the air? You said a young alcohol?
Yeah, like, so young describes like alcohol in the first year of after it's been fermented.
Yeah, so it gets you fucked up.
Yeah, and when you have something young, they might as well just slap a 2 times label right next to the ABV because it hits twice as hard as what it says on the bottle.
Yeah, that's great. Because honestly, it's like, so basically, it's like we were basically drinking wine glasses of like basically a hard liquor because of the percentage.
Mm-hmm. It was 14.5%, but if you just times that by 2, it ends up being about 28 to 29%.
Yeah, wow. No wonder I feel so great tonight. It's a me. We did it. We honestly killed it, man. Like you did a great job. Now another one here that Spencer believes that we should point out, right? Is this another one that you've used previously?
All of my very first 2 to 3 years of mead making experience was with 71B, which is what we're gonna read off next.
Okay, so 71B is ideal for sweet and semi-sweet meads. Mellamols, am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
Mellamols made with dark fruits, which enhance the aromatics, and Cysers, Cysers. What is that?
So cider is mead made with cider or apples.
Ooh, yeah, that would be good. Eh?
Or both.
Or both. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. It's your mead. Do what you want.
You want to hear the
It's the
nickname?
mead you need.
You want to hear the nickname for
Of course
71B?
Of course I do.
71 fucking beast, my guy. Because it will eat through anything and it produces the nicest tasting alcohol.
That's awesome. So now, just for people at home, like, what are we looking at as like for like a retail price of this kind of stuff?
So each one of these packs, you'll get about like 5 grams of the yeast that is ready to be activated, and one packet will cost you anywhere from like $2 to $3 per packet.
That's not bad, eh?
No,
And
not
now
at
did
all.
you use an entire package in our meat?
No, I actually only used half a packet. Sometimes I only use a quarter. Sometimes I use a whole packet.
Wow. So I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, the most costly part of the meat, from what I can see, is the honey.
Yep, that's true.
Wow. Because once you get that initial investment, you buy your carboys, you buy your hoses, you buy like your aerators, all that kind of stuff that you need. I mean, really, it ultimately pays for itself at the end of the day.
Yeah, because you don't need to replace that equipment. You just got to keep it clean.
Keep it clean, keep it sanitized. Yeah. Imagine those poor Vikings trying to sanitize stuff. They made meat out of blood. What are they doing?
Well, they're just spitting into a jar, and then K-Man is born.
Yeah, I don't think there's no FDA regulations going. Awesome. So I mean, you've got the honey, you've got the yeast,
water.
You got the water, obviously. You've got, we didn't add any of the psychoactive ingredients that Vikings were, but I mean, if you guys want to get our hands on some of that, let us know, because we will.
So next little segment we're getting into here is initiating fermentation.
Initiating the fermentation.
So what that process is defining is getting all your ingredients up to the right temperature so the yeast can do its job and turn CO2 into alcohol and take the sugar out of the liquid and take it from a suspended gravity and make it fall to the bottom.
Okay.
So
And that's why at the end of it you have that, like I said, just mentioned that, I noticed that when he showed me the bottles that there is that residual mead in the bottom of the bottle. And then something really cool actually happened. So we took the 3 bottles out of the fridge, and I said to him, oh, the one is bubbling. And what was that because of?
that's fermentation restarting, because when you put mead in the fridge, it's called cold crashing. Cold crashing is when you stop the fermentation premature, or you're forcing it to stop on its own because you want the mead to stay at a certain flavor.
Okay.
So when you want to initiate fermentation, that will be anywhere from 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Not too much warmer than body temperature.
Okay.
And then by the end of it, when you're done with fermentation, if you put it in the fridge, it'll stop the fermentation early, and then you'll either get a sweeter or more dry mead depending on when you stop fermentation. And it doesn't kill the yeast, it makes it flocculate a little bit sooner, clears up your mead. And
So what does flocculate mean? Like make it dormant?
Flocculate means you're making the sugars and the yeast fall to the bottom of the carboy or your bottles.
Yep. Okay.
And then what happens from then on is you've got mead everywhere from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Now I asked him too, I said, is it like the worm in the tequila? Does it get you all fucked up?
No, it's not the most pleasant thing to drink. So
Yeah.
if you can filter it out, it's called the lees of the bottle.
Okay.
Lees. Yeah.
Now I remember you said too though that you can then take that and reuse it as like a starter for another batch of mead, right?
If you like the flavor of your last mead you made, if you save over your lees, you can use it to restart a fermentation or like save a little bit of money on yeast.
Yeah, cool.
And use that to kick off your fermentation, and that would be partially your tannins for your next mead.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's like you're basically recycling the process. Mm-hmm. And again, you just got to get the honey, you got to get the water. Why isn't everybody making mead? I feel like everyone should be making mead. I'm about it.
Well, it's not costly to start up. It's just hard to find everything in one place.
Yeah. It's like building the bomb. You don't go to just one hardware store.
No.
Just kidding. You gotta go to a couple different places.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was yeah.
So the next step in making mead is waiting for it to finish fermenting.
Yeah. So now, it was about 3 weeks, right, from our initial cooking of the honey, putting it in the carboy, to where we were actually sitting down and sampling that mead, right?
Yeah, so it was about 3 weeks, and then we waited one more week, and then I bottled it up, and it was ready to drink after I left it in the fridge for a week. So,
and it was delicious. It is delicious.
What happens is that's first fermentation, and then first fermentation ended at about like 2 weeks in, and then we swapped it over to some fresh carboys and initiated second fermentation with some clementines in it and made clementine mead.
Clementine. It's not tangerine. It's not an orange. It's a clementine.
Clementine.
Get it?
My Valentine's.
Was that? If you're gonna throw it down like that, we gotta record. Oh wait, we already are. We gotta record that shit.
So after we had the mead finished fermenting and second fermentation with the clementines in it, we bottled it up, let it age for one more week, and that's when you get into aging, which usually lasts anywhere from a couple months to years and years on end to achieve different flavors and results. And you can either do that in dry storage or in cold storage.
Now, let me ask you this, but again, though, right, if you do the cold storage compared to the dry storage, that's going to affect how it ages, right?
Yeah, and how it flavors.
So now, here's a crazy idea. Have you ever thought about just making a bottle of mead and leaving it for like 20 years?
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, actually.
Would you do it dry, though, or cold?
You know what? It'd be easier to keep it dry.
Yes,
but
because you wouldn't have to worry about having it in the fridge, right? You could just take it wherever, put it in a wine rack for the next 20 years.
If I had an extra fridge,
You'd fill it with mead?
fill it with mead.
Yeah, you would. Why wouldn't you?
That'd be the best idea ever.
And then just have... Yeah, and like, it's like that, it's like the, that place in Switzerland, and it's like a mine in a mountain.
Oh,
and they
I
have
would love that.
It's like the fallout. It's like the fallout shelter, and basically, if you guys aren't aware of this, and I'm sorry, I can't think of what it's actually called, but they have like this vault in like an underground nuclear bunker, like in Switzerland, I believe, and it's got like all like the heritage, like heirloom seeds for like every kind of vegetable ever, like flowers, everything, like all this kind of vegetation and stuff. So that basically, if there's like a nuclear fallout, they have everything, and they wouldn't lose any kind of species of vegetable or whatever, and they can restart and regrow. Isn't that crazy? Let's get some of your meat in there. Be like, they need to put a fucking meat in there and get that fucking, what's it called again at the bottom of the bottle?
The lease.
The lease. They just need a big vat of mead, and then they can have the lease and make mead continuously forever. Like, they don't have bees down there. Of course they do. They're fucking switch. Who's funding this is what I want to know. You know? I mean, who's going to get to reap the benefits of that? The rich people of the world. We're all going to die in the nuclear winter.
So after we're
Back to Mead Chat. Sorry about that.
Back to Mead Chat.
Quick diversion to the
Apocalypse.
The apocalypse. I've been drinking mead. Clearly, you can tell. It's been a long day for me.
So this is the part you didn't see in the videos, but we'll show it in a future video, is racking and filtering.
Yes.
So racking and filtering is describing the process of just transferring one carboy of liquid into either another carboy or bottles of various sizes for your mead. So what you'll be doing is, there's many ways to rack, but you can do it as simple with just a vinyl hose. If you're going a bit fancier, you can get a racking cane with a siphon in it, or you can go as far as to get like an electronic pump that just like pumps it from the bottom up to your vessel that you're transferring it to.
So basically, after it's so walk us through that process quickly.
So racking is just describing taking one liquid from one area to another.
Okay. Yep.
Filtering is just filtering that liquid so there's no lease at all in your liquid.
Yes.
Your mead, yeah. So we'll get into more detail into that next time you see us on video.
Yes, perfect. And I believe we are also going to do a second part of Mead 101, which is the name of this episode. We really want to just take a deep dive into not only the history of mead, but the whole process, and trying to give you guys a better understanding of what it's all about. And we hope that you enjoy coming on this journey with us. We are getting to the last step of the actual production of the mead. What are we calling this?
So we call this corking and capping.
Corking and capping. I love it.
So what you're going to be doing here is you're going to take your freshly measured bottles of either any size of bottle you choose, in between 100 mils to up to a liter or more at a time. And you're going to be capping these bottles. You're going to be corking them up.
I need a liter of mead. Can I get me a liter of mead?
You're going to need to seal them bottles up. And then immediately after you've got these bottles sealed up and cleaned up with your corks or caps or whatever you choose to seal the bottles up with, you can do this last step, which is kind of optional, but you label your mead.
Ooh, labeling the mead.
Why wouldn't you?
And we'll get into that next time we make mead, and we'll get some really fancy labels going on.
Fuck yeah, I love it. Like, you just mean like just a label on the bottle?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get the picture of us, the Mead Chat picture you guys have seen from the videos. We're gonna go to Staples and get that printed and slap them on the bottles. Not for sale, just for us. But no, it's honestly, Spencer, you're onto something here, and like I can tell that genuinely have a love and a dedication and a willingness to try to make the best quality product you possibly can. And I know it's a hobby for you now, but man, honestly, like, you've got the determination and it's a quality product, and I could see this being something that you could do for the rest of your life.
It's fucking Mead Chat, baby. You know what it is.
You know what it is. It's Mead Chat, baby. This is Mead 101. We're going to hit you guys up with another explanation video. We're going to dive into the second half of how to make mead like a Viking, give you a little bit more understanding of how the process is done. Look for some more videos. You know who I am. I am Bino Barbarino. This is Who Are You?
Spencer the Buzzin' Bee.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Check us out, guys. Please, if you haven't seen the videos yet, take a look. We're going to be putting out a lot more content. It's going to be fire. Tell your friends. Tell your Nana. My Nana loves Bobchat. Your Nana could love Bobchat. Give us a like. Give us a follow. And please also support Spencer. There's going to be a link for his Instagram and whatever other pages and other locations he wants you to go to. Please check him out. He's really putting he's investing a lot into this process, and it's a cool process, man. And like, honestly, how do you not like making your own liquor? If you don't like that, then fine, don't listen. I don't care about you. But if you like making your own liquor at home, this is for you. That's what's up. And plus, it's honey. It's bees. You don't like bees? Fuck you. Right?
Absolutely.
All right, listen, man. Always good hanging out with you. I appreciate the hell out of you. I'm glad we could do this. Look for another episode. We're going to dive into the second half of that book. And we got more videos on the way, guys. So, stay tuned. Bzzz. See you later.
See you later.
We're alien bees.